I'm in a Gusto demo account because I wanted to show you what it looks like for the employer and the employee. So right away, you can see that they include all of the most important things for you to do right here in your task list. Things like running payroll, reviewing time off requests, etc. You can also go in and sort it by priority or due date. On the left-hand side, you've got things broken down by people, company, payroll, time tools, benefits, taxes and compliance, reports, and app directory. And you can actually get to things in Gusto a few different ways. So you might see things twice, but that's because they make it easy for you to find. Within your people, you can look at your team members. It's broken down by active, people who are onboarding, candidates, offboarding, and dismissed. You can also go in and filter by the employee types because on this screen, you can see employees and contractors. Maybe you want to see people in different departments or job titles. And you can also use the search box to find somebody on your team. And the employee records are pretty detailed. It includes everything related to their job and pay and their contact information. So things like compensation as well is going to be here on job and pay. And people can have more than one payment type. So maybe you have things like salary and commission or day rates, things like that. Personal is going to be their personal information, social security number, birthday. You can also add custom fields. So maybe a t-shirt size, and you can collect that during onboarding. Performance is going to be a history of all their performance notes and performance reviews. Time off is going to allow you to see any time off requests that they've got, any time off that they've already taken, and what policies they've been added to. Apps is going to show you what apps you provision from Gusto, and we'll go over that in a bit. But I really like using Gusto to turn on and turn off software when you hire and fire, because you don't have to remember to turn things off and end up paying for license fees that you aren't expecting, or accidentally allow people to have access to things that they no longer should have access to. Documents, you can upload a document and you can use Gusto to have people sign documents, and I'll walk through that in a minute. Benefits will show you what company-sponsored benefits they've been included in. Right here, we've got health insurance, vision, etc. This will show you paid by the employee and by the employer. And then you've got an area to add some free-form notes. Org chart will show you how your organization and all the people relate to each other. So we've got here the CEO, and then these are the people that they're in charge of, and it keeps going down. Hiring tools is pretty neat because you can do things like have background checks done through Payroll. You can send offer letters, and it's really nice because you can customize them by role and use tokens in order to pre-fill some of this information. And once somebody has accepted the offer through Gusto, we can automatically onboard them. Onboarding checklist is great because it helps you to have a codified way in order to onboard your team. Maybe you want to remember to give people access to a building, or maybe you need to send them business cards, so you can include that checklist here. Documents, I mentioned we'd come back to. You'll notice that this also took me now to company and documents. So like I said, you can get here in multiple ways. Here's a custom offer template that you can edit, and you can also have multiple offer templates in here if you want to do one by role, etc. This is the employee handbook, and the employee handbook is pretty great as well because you can have this sent only during onboarding. For us, we also like to send this at the end of every year when we update our employee handbook. So you can then send it to everybody on the team, and you can track to see who's acknowledged or signed it. And you can add other documents here. So like a non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality agreement, etc. All really helpful stuff to send through Gusto and have this recorded in their employee record. Going over to company details under company, we can see what bank accounts connected to your Gusto account. This is where your Gusto fees are going to be drafted from and your payroll is going to be drafted from. And you can also see who is a company signatory and manage your company locations, which is really helpful if you've got more than one location or people working remotely. In payroll, it's pretty simple. You can run payroll here and you can see what's next. You can even run off-cycle or bonus payrolls. You can pay contractors, both domestic and international. Bill pay is a relatively new feature in here, but this will allow you to pay bills through Gusto. Expenses allows you to have people add expenses to Gusto and have it paid through Gusto. This is really helpful for one-off expenses, but if you're doing something like using Zero projects, then I wouldn't recommend having people add their expenses to Gusto because you want to have more granular information collected within Zero. So I'd say that there's a specific use case for this, and this is really like buying office supplies very infrequently and not having things where you're constantly having to upload receipts. You can see your payroll history, so things like the employees that you paid, any domestic or international contractors that you paid. Gusto also now has a partnership with an international payroll provider, so they actually act as the employer of record. So you can run international payroll through Gusto. And you can also look at any of the benefit corrections that you've made. You can also go in and edit your settings here, but we do this for you when we onboard you. We can go in and adjust your direct deposit speed. We can adjust what shows up on people's bank statements here. Maybe you want to have like your company name payroll or Gusto payroll, things like that. Here's where we have your pay schedule. In this example, the work week starts on Saturday and your employees are paid every other Friday. You can also click preview upcoming paydays to take a look at what's coming up, but we'll also show you how to add Gusto's payroll calendar to your calendar. So you can see that if you're using GCal or iCal, it's really easy to add. So we've got time off and time tracking. You can see what time off requests are awaiting a response here, and we can also see your policies. So we add in custom policies for all of our clients. We want to make sure that we're reflecting their handbook in Gusto exactly, and adding in any of the required policies from states. In the past, we had to add COVID, time off. Maybe you have certain requirements for your state for parental leave, things like that. We make sure that is all added here. Within time tracking, you can track time in total, or you can track time by project. But if we're using Zero Projects, I would say that belongs in Zero Projects versus Gusto, just because it has, again, more granular information. Within benefits, you can see what benefits your company already offers, and they have some recommendations here. We can add benefits through Gusto, things like health insurance, life insurance, etc. So if this is interesting to you, let us know. We can help you get that started. Within taxes and compliance, we can see your tax setup, which is your federal EIN, your state information. We also make sure that every year we get this unemployment tax rate from you, because this does change. We want to make sure that we are drafting the correct amount to be paid to the state every single payroll. So if you get something, let us know. We'll make sure it gets added here. We download reports for you when we're running your payroll, but here we can see all the different reports that are available. We run the journal report and add that to your Dropbox account. And app directory is great because if you go into the provisioning apps, this will let you know what apps you can have automatically turned on or turned off whenever you have a new person join a team. So it's really helpful if you're all using a project management software or a document management software, because when you are getting people started, it's really hard to remember, what do I need to turn on? And it takes a lot of time. Or when you're letting somebody go, you might end up having to spend a lot of time turning off software, or you might forget to, which ends up costing money and could put your company at risk. On the employee side, I'm going to switch that profile. They'll have access to Gusto online and also within the Gusto app. It's called Gusto Wallet. Here they can do things like see their pay stubs. This will allow them to download their pay stubs, which is super helpful if they're trying to get a loan and they don't want to bug you on a Friday night or on a weekend. They can also log in and track their time here. Again, I think that if you're using Zero Projects, that's the place to go if you've got a lot of projects going on. Time off is where they can request time related to all the different policies that we set up for you. So things like bereavement, sick time, parental leave can all be requested here. Within benefits, they can see what benefits they've got available to them. And if you're allowing them to sign up for benefits through Gusto, like health insurance, they can go in and enroll, or they can waive their health insurance. They can see all of the comments that you've made and their performance here. If they are using expenses, they can go in and submit their expenses. And they can also go in and adjust any of their personal details. So this is very helpful if they move and they want to give you a new home address. They can also go in and change any of their W-4 or state withholding information here. So this takes you, the business owner, out of the picture and allows them to be in the driver's seat when it comes to filling out this documentation and keeping it up to date. They don't have to send you a form and you have to go manually enter it, which takes a lot of time. It's all automatically saved to their employee profile once they save it here. So as you can see, Gusto is really easy to use, really beautiful. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help.